Hi, I'm your host, Michael James Douglas. The Mirror series brings you stories of hope and inspiration from our world community. Today, we bring you the story of Toby Joseph. Last year, Toby enrolled in the digital media program at Bates Technical College in Tacoma, Washington. While being 40 years old and enrolling in college for the first time is inspiring, Toby had to face some incredible challenges in his life just to get here. Let's take a look at Toby's story.
I had two children that passed away, two boys, twins. A year later, I had a 7-month-old daughter that passed away.
Things that made it very difficult for me because they were real barriers that needed to be overcome so that I can get to a place I needed to be, educated and, well, that kind, loving, radiant, truthful, just person that I've been educated we should all strive to be.
Through all of this, Toby and his wife Shannon still managed to raise 18 kids. Some their own, some belonging to relatives who couldn't care for them, and some who simply had nowhere else to turn.
There's 18 of us that I live with, which is me, my wife, and that large blended family, but it works. And it works because we have a spiritual foundation that we operate from.
But what makes Toby's story so compelling is through all these challenges in his life, he never stopped searching for a way to help others.
He's a good dad and he tries his best to keep our family together.
I was 7, I think, and ever since then Toby's been there. He's been more of a dad to me than my real father.
He opened his house and let me stay with him because I didn't have nowhere else to go.
I can't take care of everybody, because to me that's also what family means, is taking care of each other. But if I take care of me, then I'm in a good place and I can take care of my wife. If we're in a good place, I can then take care of my kids. As a family, if we're in a good place, we can then take care of our community. If our community family's good, then we can branch out to our city, our nation, and ultimately the world.
Tell me about the conversation you had with your wife when you decided to enroll in digital media. How was that?
This is the first day of my life.
Any conversation with my wife about wanting to go back to school, I can remember intimately, because we had talked about things up to then in a different way. We were doing what we needed to do for life. School really wasn't a part of that picture.
Yours is the first face that I saw.
And so the day that we were talking about education, we were sitting in a study circle talking about education, and some of this hit me. And I need to go back to school. And she's like, you really think you can go back to school with everything we got going against us? 2 bouts of meningitis, all the things you deal with, 18 kids.
Come on, time to wake up, baby.
But I realized that I need you, and I wondered if I could come home.
All of that, and you think you're going back to school? Oh, okay. If that's what you want, I'll support you. I'm at a point now where a year after being in school, it's been a challenge. But I can say I now have skills where one day no longer will my family have to just survive. We will thrive because of this education I've gotten. And all of it stems back to that day in that study circle where I made this connection. Wow, these writings and what I am interpreting from these writings and that messenger of God, Creator seems to think education is really important. And so who was I to argue with that kind of guidance from that kind of a source? I had to figure out in my life, how do I do that?
We just have to wait and see. But I'd rather be working for a paycheck than waiting to win the lottery. Besides, maybe this time it's different.
I'm going to be able to take these skills and become a documentarian in the Native community. So because of these skills, I'm being invited to come and document our history as it's happening.
But that's what education has given me. And out of that, I can now do those noble things that I hope one day will be my legacy for life.
It is a pain in the ass some days, but the fruits of that are worth it. Because a lot of our youth don't have anything. I mean, a lot of these binders I have back here, they're focused on community development, urban development in context to Native Americans and those of us, and that's about 70% of us that are off the reservation, living in cities, and falling between the cracks. Well, consequently, our kids fall then through the cracks, and the kids that do that, they've got the gangs, they've got the streets out there waiting to catch them. And we've had enough years of that's where a lot of our youth are, to the point where on the east side of Tacoma, the 5th largest Native population in the country, in the last 5 years, there's been over 30 kids that have died because of gang, drug, alcohol, suicide, that I know of, and probably more than that. I had last counted around 18, 19 kids, and my son goes, you know, Dad, we've got a lot of friends, and at last count I was more like 30, 32 kids, and that's not even all the kids that I know that have died. Those are just the ones I've counted as people I know, friends, you know, and then how much I count myself lucky that at this point every one of my kids is in school and doing well.
If there were one statement like that I suppose would be my legacy or an epitaph on my headstone, I would hope that it said, "Here lies Toby Joseph, a world citizen who helped to bring about change and the unity of mankind."